Just 1 second, because I have to use the YouTube, otherwise it would do that.
Yeah, I'm excited about the prospect of 2 kids in college next year. That's gonna be fun. You can pull Chick-fil-A and go, you want fries with that or what? I know you're really doing here. Well, you know.
We can call the ID in order.
Okay, so meeting order. We'll start with the reading and the approval of our minutes for August 17th, 2023 meeting. The motion to accept those. Make the motion. Second,
Aye. I'll second, sorry.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Finance report.
I'll make a motion to accept the check detail as presented.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And I'll make a
Aye.
motion to accept the August cash flow statements as presented.
Second here.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
On to the draft budget.
So every year we do a 5-year projection for our operating budget as requested or required by the comptroller's office. That's what you see in your packet. So Greene.
This is merely just the projection. It's really a straight line kind of required.
So in December, present the budgets for the operating pilot and parks with the budget memo, which is more in depth than this. This is just a,
Is Donna on with us today or not?
Donna is expected. No, she's not here right now.
Because she's the only one I don't think that's been with us when we did a 5-year budget.
I think last year,
Was she?
she,
Oh,
yes, we sent it to her.
okay, just so she
She's
understands,
familiar
it's just
with
a
it, but-
projection of the.
Yep, I'll explain it. I can email her the difference and show the difference between the budget, the official budgets that we do.
Right.
But this is required by the comptroller's office, so I just need an approval.
So anybody have any questions on that or anything you want to add before we, so I need a motion to approve the executive budget.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, in a second,
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So the other item under operations administrations, we had a housing committee meeting. It's Dan, Eric, Donna and I, James from the county also met with us. So we have 3 different drafts that we're working on for updating a housing policy, some evaluation criteria discussion, and then adding an addendum to our current pilot as we move forward with possibly adopting a housing policy. So as soon as I have those updated, I'll send them out to the entire board for our October meeting to review and get feedback from the entire board at that time. Was there anything, Dan, did you want to add anything on the housing?
Nope.
Okay,
I would just add that I've been approached a couple of times that there's some concern that we're looking at subsidized housing opposed to workforce housing, so we still have messaging to do there.
Yeah. I think Keith, April and I did talk about this. We know there's a couple, the legislators have concerns, and I thought the best thing to do was to invite them in, have to sit down and have a discussion with them. I think that could put to bed a lot of that.
Yeah, just the
No,
understanding, so
right,
everybody's on the
absolutely.
same page
Yeah.
what we're trying to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Paul, on this form, it says buyer and seller,
Both places.
sign in both places?
Yeah, we're both of everything.
Right, I thought it was
Yes.
true.
okay, so moving on to project updates, Carroll Water and Sewer Extension. So we have the DOT and DOH approvals to move forward. We're still waiting on DEC. I've attached an update from Delaware Engineering. Our goal is to break ground in October. As soon as we get that DEC permit, there is concern that this is ARPA money that we want to spend out in a timely manner. Did you have any additions, technical stuff for Carroll Water?
We're just working through all the little fine minutia details of how the wires get in. That's this week's issue, is how to get a easement right away for Central Hudson to run the wire back to the freeway.
That's Cass.
I guess I'll carry.
Or the DEC, is that just procedural? Or are there any issues or is it
There might have been a couple hiccups, but we had Warren called in some higher ups, and Delaware Engineering met with the person who's reviewing our contracts. He met with the boss. So there might be some conditions on the permit, but we are getting things moving forward.
The DEC's big hangup was over seeker. And, there was a seeker review for the line being put in, but there's no identified end user in, at the targeted development space. So there's no seeker consideration of that. And we try to explain to these two guys, it's pretty routinely done, where infrastructure is done and then the seekers undertaken individually. They seem to be totally clueless to that. And we tried to impress them on, well, they seem to have never heard of shovel ready. We're like, we have a whole state program that's pushing this. You have state agencies giving us grant money to do this. So I think that's what we ended up, I think what it's going to be a condition on the thing that says any future development has something to go seeker. Well, that's a no-brainer. It has to already by law. So there's no conditions we see that it would be a problem.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, Carol. Battery storage update. Paul continues to work with the company on the final lease. The deed now is corrected, so we can kind of move forward
Yeah.
on that.
Yeah, that's the last thing. It's just, they had the deed in the wrong name.
We're good.
Okay.
Ed Curtin was doing field work last week on the archaeology, and Norbert Quinzer is still doing some work on wetland reporting.
The biggest thing right now in the wetlands is because of the recent Supreme Court ruling on the nexus and the connection issue with wetlands. They basically reduced again the amount of wetlands that are protected, but we're waiting to get guidance. There's supposed to be some issued this month from the Corps. Problem here in New York right now is the Corps is essentially totally dysfunctional. They have like no staff. Their scheduling is just, you can't get them out in the field. Mainly a staffing issue. They just don't have anybody.
So that's our battery storage update. Gateway Green Commercial Park, exit 21 East. We closed on Stewart's so they can start their building. Tourism Department, those employees have moved over to the county building. Regarding the road infrastructure, same thing. We've been meeting with DEC. They've had questions.
Excuse me.
Might have some conditions on the permit. We are working with the lowest bid contractor to move forward sometime in October. So
Yeah, I know,
Pushing
October 18th.
October 18th is the start. Same thing though, we're waiting just on the DEC permit to come through. Renee went and met with the,
Oh, hold on a minute. Just so everybody should be really well aware of this, is that we're waiting for the permit will have to come through before connection. Right now, we don't think it's going to be an issue because, especially in Catskill, don't forget, Catskill, don't forget the background on this. Catskill was forced into a $15 million sewer project to deal with leads. As a part of that, there was a negotiation. DEC was involved in all that, approvals, everything else. There was a negotiation that created a sewer district. Part of that negotiation was an agreement on the allocation of capacity, 300-some thousand gallons a day. And we're well in below that. And again, when they sold that, don't forget, part of what they sold it to the town was, you can have economic development, you build up growth in your community, blah, blah, blah. And these sites that are all here in Catskill would have all been hooked up. We didn't tell them, don't hook them up because we're going to redevelop this. No sense hooking up a hotel, we're going to tear it down, basically. So they've been giving us a hard time, but we're right now, Eric and I talked about, the board should be aware, because I have no authority of any means here, but we need to go to construction, plain and simple, and get we'll have to have the approval before we make the connection for sure. But as of last week, I don't think we're gonna have an issue. I think
We can get everything in the ground, just not the connection to the building, right?
And I don't think we're gonna have, I just don't think we're gonna have an issue at this point. I think it's gonna, I think we're gonna get the permit plenty of time, because
I think we just gotta do it.
or you're gonna lose a construction season, and you're gonna jam up
We
everybody's
gotta do
schedule
it,
at this point in
deal
time.
with it, whatever afterwards.
And I will say a large part of this issue with us is personnel. It's this guy, Jamie Malcolm from DEC, used to be in Greene County. They ran him out on a rail years ago because he caused so much grief with everybody here. And then he's been assigned back to this place again. And I've dealt with him a few times. He's an interesting fellow to deal with, but
I'll give you a quick story relative to this. Just reading a story about the Tesla Gigafactory in Berlin. It's gonna take 2 years or whatever to get the approval. It's gonna take 2 years to build factory. It's gonna take longer to get the approvals than build factory. So I said, we can't wait that long. We want to build it. They said, well, you can build it, but if we don't give you the approval, we can tear the building down. I said, we're gonna build it. And they built it. They got the approvals. It comes, but sometimes you gotta.
I as I told April, we talked about, I said, I wouldn't advise you guys to take that risk in Carroll,
Right.
because Carroll is a greenfield, new area of construction, but
Well,
here's
the
a
case you laid
developed area,
out
it was
was
intended to be
right.
part of this sewer
Exactly.
district, and you're just playing games.
So we're replacing a previous hotel that had a restaurant.
With a
We're
hotel.
looking at
The new one.
a new restaurant. Stewart's is just moving across the street, so really the only new hookup you said was the tourism
Tourism
center,
center.
with two
That's the only
bathrooms.
thing that.
So the capacity, Delaware Engineering has been providing Jamie with every single bit of minutia paperwork that he's requested in an effort to get it moving forward.
You know, and even the tourism center isn't a totally new one, that would have been hooked up during the original construction project, but again, we knew we didn't, so.
That's what I'm saying, our rational sound.
Yeah, we were a bunch of sound around here, it'll be taken care of before.
I agree with the Carroll situation, that's a little different.
So, right, so we're moving forward with the road. Stewart's is moving forward with their building, and Central Hudson, we signed a contract to move forward with then our portion of the natural gas going from edge of the road into all the way to the back of the hotel. So that's where we were talking about the easement. We're working with the hotel and Stewart's for the lines, whether they go underground or poles
Actually, Central Hudson says they're gonna underground it in there,
for the electric.
yeah, for the electric.
Well, that would be ideal.
Yeah, and I
There's-
just told them we weren't paying for it, because, you know, the IDA did it. We thought about it, and I didn't put money in the budget for it, because if you go down there and you look around, it's like, what difference is burying 200, 150 feet of wire gonna make here compared to what's here already? But they're gonna do it, sounds like, so.
But
Excellent.
everything's gonna be dug up anyway. I mean, why wouldn't you put it in so you don't have pole maintenance? and
Because
everything else?
we had to pay. well,
Not
so
us,
we
but
did,
why, I mean,
yeah,
for Central Hudson,
If they stay along the same road.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree.
So any questions on exit 21 East? I feel everything's moving forward.
Yeah, no, it's just, I find it a little shocking that, you know, redevelopment of an existing site that DEC would.
It's beyond.
Yes,
Going
and
back
no, I
to
guess.
Eric's story
Right side
about
brain,
things
left side
taking
brain, I
2
don't know.
years.
Oh, right,
This-
right.
Yeah, this has been in the making
Yep.
since 2000.
So, that was a situation, they knew they were gonna get the approval.
Yeah.
Because there was no legal rational reason, they were redeveloping an existing factory site. So if we're gonna do it, and it'll give us the paper when we're done, or, yeah, I guess we'll tear it down, but I'm pretty sure there'll be no sound basis to do that.
So, quick update
Yeah.
on Greene Business and Technology Park. If you've been in there to go to the bank or anything, they've milled, tore up the road, and they're gonna be paving. Save-A-Lot has had a lot of interest, so CB Richard Ellis finally got the keys and the site plan, and we've been touring the building. They actually have 2 offers right now that Save-A-Lot is reviewing. I don't know how long Save-A-Lot's gonna take to sell the building, but they are on the tax roll. They're paying, I think, 416,000 in school taxes, so they might want to get up underneath that.
So they get 2 offers right now?
Right now, there's 2 offers on the table, but there's other bids coming in, so.
Okay.
And also note, just to show you how good we've built things, that road in there, 21 years old. It hasn't had
Yeah, this is the
pothole
first time.
patched in it in 21 years. So that's what pays to pay a premium to build something good for the first time.
Vermillion Lane will be paved later. So moving on to the Hunter Motor Coach update, Renee's been working with the village on the hydrant. It's-
Village.
Everybody.
Dollar Engineering.
So we're extending some water and sewer to a new hydrant for Peter Hunter, because the current hydrant isn't close enough. But once Peter's in and built, then we'll move forward with paving that road, but the county will take care of that maybe next season. And
Who's giving them trouble over the location of the hydrant?
So what happened is Peter got his planning board approval like 2 years ago. Then he decided to go get to work this year on getting the building put up. And then everybody came out of the woodwork, it seems. So first, the mayor raised an issue about it, and granted, the fire hydrant where it's located is not the most ideal. It's actually not on the street right away. It's on the far side of the parking lot from Sportolini. That was done at the time because we were tight on money. We were trying to get new common in the building. We were trying to save costs, so we kind of cost slotted and blah, blah. But the village was the main one raising it, and then regrettably, Delaware Engineering started to raise all kinds of issues about the site plan, this and this and this and that. And I was like, the planning board hasn't brought this up, the town hasn't made, so I kind of took care of that. We just, be honest with you, we just sort of said, look, we either go round robin on this fight here with them on the hydrant, and put us at jeopardy with Peter, or just put the hydrant in. So it's like 45 grand for us to get the hydrant in. So that's going. All says we hired John to do it. We got everything all lined up. Spogalini signed the easement today. I got the insurance certificate to him and one for you guys too. And then, but it was just a bunch of all kind of stuff from left field that was really pretty aggravating for a while, but it's smooth sailing. It's done. It's all fixed. It's taken care of.
And so in that park also, we have the 27 acres that's to the left or north of Save-A-Lot. Sun Dragon Cannabis has had an option. They're renewing their option because the state cannabis board has finally decided they're going to open up applications on October either 4th or 6th. I've gotten 2 different feedbacks, but once that application is open, they'll be moving forward on more retail, dispensaries, grow houses. So that's exciting because that would be one of the first state-of-the-art net zero grow facilities in New York. But I'll keep you updated on that progress. I don't know how long it'll take to review applications. We like our partners there. Kalkberg, the paving is complete in Kalkberg. Empire Merchants North. Paul, did you want to talk at all about their assessment?
Yeah, okay. So they had a assessment dispute. So their assessment is the way the pilot works is they had this 5-year freeze.
It's actually 15 to the end. So they
Right,
pay,
but they're in 5-year increments.
Nope.
No?
no, it's just straight. So with the way we set up Empire Merchants North is they are in the Empire Zone. So for the first 10 years, they got reimbursed. So they paid 100% full taxes. They got reimbursed from the state. In year 10, we froze it for the final 15 years. And it's just frozen at the 2022 rates.
All right, so the issue is they brought a assessment grievance on that, but it's meaningless. It doesn't affect the formula because it's frozen on the prior year's assessment, which was frozen. Okay, yeah, from the year before was the year that reset the thing, set the freeze. So they missed it. So, they've been calling me and I'm saying, well, look, you gotta get the taxing jurisdictions on board with reducing this. We're not gonna go out here on by ourselves and do this, by ourselves. I mean, because we're already in a fight with these people. So I've advised them 6 times to China to say, hey, look, if you're gonna do this, then you gotta write us a letter. Then we have to have a public hearing. And there's gotta be someone here saying why it's overassessed and why we should do this. Because I don't want to be sitting there
So
and sitting there being
your own assessment.
no, I spoke to Gordon Bennett and he's going to type up something for the board for the October meeting to review where they came to this new assessment. So currently they have successfully lowered their assessment. So it was 17 million before the freeze. It got lowered to 12 million. So that's what we froze it at, 12 million. Now they successfully sued to get it lowered to about 7.5 million. So special districts will be billed at 7.5, but because we froze it at the 2022 rate,
assessed at 7 million.
7.5 million.
well, that is a
That's a little light, exactly.
well, that's a fractional assessment.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so that I think when you add in the full value,
That's not full back.
that's not full value.
No, the EQ rate right now in Coxsackie is 43%.
Yes, so then it's if it's 7 million, then you're 16 million.
They're not arguing that.
Yeah, but the point of this is that there has to be someone with some credentials saying why this is overassessed.
From their side.
But hasn't that already occurred if they're down to 7?
It may have, we're not a party to it, and we can't just sit there ab initio, lower the assessment without telling these people, by the way. I don't think, it involves an amendment to our documents. And that I think has to be done on notice to all the taxing jurisdictions. So, I told these people that they need to get their act together and start talking to people. And I said, the only way that in my view, I see this getting done is if the assessor says this is an overassessment. Now, and they've done it with a court order, but I don't know what the participation has been by this Coxsackie School District. I don't want to get sideways with them or they get another opportunity to sue us. I think, I think they need to be invited to, participate in this stuff.
So Gordon's gonna respond to us, or he's gonna. send
Right,
us-
Gordon will give us that information. We can make a decision on it. So there, I did speak to the comptroller over at Empire, Debbie Cooper. There is a misunderstanding that they feel that they hadn't gotten any benefits because they've been paying full taxes for the first 10 years. I had to remind them that they were in the Empire Zone getting reimbursed. So
She was unaware of the reimbursement.
I get, there's turnover, so
People-
different people are in charge. But yes, in her books, she doesn't have that. So when the lawyer sued and now wants us to lower it, their argument was that they haven't seen a benefit, but they have. They've gotten 10 years of reimbursement, and then going forward, if you freeze it at the 2022, is what I explained to her, is going forward, you're at the lower tax rates for the next 15 years. So in the final year, you'll be seeing significant savings, because her other question was, if we don't edit or amend the current pilot to the lower assessment, how do they go about terminating the pilot? Which could be more harmful to us. Those are the two options. So by October, I should have more for the board to review on that. Okay. Any other questions on Coldplay? Okay, so the only other 4 items that we have were for executive session, discussing lawsuit and claims, and then some potential client contract discussions for 2 different areas that we own. So Dan, when I go into executive session, Zoom stops. So if you want to call on my cell phone.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay,
So I need a motion to go into executive session.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Tell me what-
Um,